welcome. I'm sorry for the delay again. As you can see, we're shooting for Tuning TV, so we've got a lot of stuff going, but it's going to be an exciting evening. We'd like to say a special thank you to our co-hosts, the Central Brooklyn Jazz Consortium. They're putting on the Brooklyn Jazz Month for April, the festival. They've done a wonderful job. Why don't we give them a hand? Also, our Brooklyn College sponsors in front of course, the Hitchcock Institute, which is putting the program on, and the Surf Fund from the Conservatory of Music, and the Wolf Humanities Institute have all helped make this possible, so we thank you. We're very excited this evening to have two of the great stars of Latin jazz music here with us at Brooklyn College. What I'm going to do is introduce them. We're going to have just a couple minutes of chat up here so you can get to know them a little, and then we will have music. So first of all, we have Arturo Farrill, who I'm sure many of you know, son of the legendary Latin jazz composer Chico Farrill. He's the head of the Afro-Latin Jazz Orchestra. He has won 2 Grammy Awards. He is a graduate of Brooklyn College, Conservatory of Music. Yes, Conservatory of Music, are you out there in the house? Right? He also has a distinguished award from Brooklyn College. And we're very, very fortunate to have him with us teaching this year, and we hope to bring him back. So please make welcome Arturo Farrill. All right. Next we have Papo Vasquez. He is from Philadelphia, but against him because as a young man he came here to New York as a teenager and began performing with some of the great Latin jazz and salsa icons, Ray Barretto, Tito Puente, the Gonzalez brothers, Poco Florico, Port Apache Band. So he was there in some of the most fertile years in the mid to late 1970s. He eventually started the Papo Vasquez Pirates Troubadours, which describes themselves as an Afro-Puerto Rican jazz band. And that's something that we're going to talk a little bit about here before we get going with the music to see if you can understand that a bit better. They've been nominated for a Grammy Award, and Papo has really emerged not only as one of the most important players, trombonists, in Latin jazz, but also as a Latin jazz composer. So let's make him welcome Papo Vasquez. So what I want to do is just give a little bit of quick background on both the Cuban and the Puerto Rican sides of this. And I thought I'd start with Arturo. Just a little bit of sense of coming up. Of course, you grew up around your dad, the Latin jazz composer, Chico Farrill, so you were exposed to a lot of that music. But what about classical music and Western music when you studied here at Brooklyn College? How do you bring those two worlds together?
Well, the thing about being a good musician is just being a good pianist, being a good trombonist, If you study your craft, you have a much better chance of making a decent sound. So when I came to Brooklyn College, I was very proud of being a alum and had the pleasure of working with Mike Vasquez, who after playing with Dizzy Gillespie, I played with Dizzy Gillespie, I played with Wynton Marsalis, I played with No Pointer. He took one look at my piano playing and said, man, you're not playing the piano. And he literally took my technique apart and showed me how to place my hands up and start from scratch. And I really credit him with giving me many years of incredible fun playing the instrument.
And what about just in terms of composing and bringing forms together? Do you think sometimes as a classical art composer or as a Latin jazz composer, or are those the same?
Not for me. For me, they're very different. You have to know about clave, you have to know about the voicings and jazz voicings. But at the end of the day, I still think that being a good technician, knowing how to divide and measure, knowing what key signature to put in, knowing how to correctly staff something or when to change clefs, that stuff's real important.
Okay. Well, let me turn to Papo now. I'm told I'm supposed to speak into this microphone. People hear me okay? Yeah, okay, fine. We good? All right. Papo, you took a little different route. You came here to New York, and as I said, you played with some of the great salsa and mambo kings. Can you tell us a little bit about that? You were just a very young man, right? A teenager, if I have this right. And who were your mentors, and how did that work?
Well, I come from a musical family. I had 11 aunts and uncles, so they all ranged from older, like my father's age, and younger too. But I was always surrounded by music. My grandfather was a cuatrista. He played guitar at cuatro, and he actually played second guitar with carario. So music was part of my upbringing, you know. And even though they were what you could consider amateur musicians, or they didn't know how to read music, they played well. I remember that they were great musicians. So my upbringing, that was the beginning of my
So how about
for me, as the first impressions that I got of music was when I was a kid.
How about when you got here to New York? What was that like? And
Well, by the time I was around 13, I started playing trombone, and by the time I was 14, I remember my uncle. My uncle also played guitar, and he played one of the combos. So he sent one of the trumpet players. He was having problems with drugs or something. So he sent somebody in the band to come and get me. It was like 9 o'clock in the evening. But back then, I'm talking 1973. So that was like you could say that was the height of what they consider nowadays, what the umbrella name that they used, which was actually created by Fania Records, Jerry Masucci, Pacheco, and those guys, salsa. That was the popular dance music. So my upbringing in my house, watching my grandfather, my uncles, and them guys play música jíbara, which is actually a mountain Puerto Rican music. To then also now I'm talking about the 70s, then I'm like already like 11, 12, and I'm being exposed to the popular dance music. And I always credit Willie Colon with me becoming a trombone player. I'm talking about like at the age of like 14 or 13. I remember sneaking into the dances in Philadelphia. It was at St. Edward's Church. I was sneaking to the back, and I remember seeing, there's nothing like live music, and it had a very big influence on me, I remember seeing Willie Colon and Hector, the original playing live. Just live music was part of my upbringing. That's why that's so important nowadays, especially with the young kids and stuff. Live music, live performing, like, you take them to the museum to see the art, let them see a live, people performing live,
Good. Very good. Well, let me ask you this, and come back to Arturo on this. What sorts of experiences did you have as a youngster hearing live music, and do you have some sense of, do you have a sense at that point that the Cuban music was really essential to this, and how did that kind of flow through with your dad and then his orchestras and so forth?
Well, my father, we had some strange parties with lots of drinking and